What if the Browns already have their future franchise quarterback, and they're about to let him slip right through their fingers? Shedeur Sanders isn't just another rookie fighting for a few snaps. He's a wild card, a disruptor. And after what he just did in practice, some people are saying he might already be the most talented quarterback in that locker room. The only question now, will Cleveland realize it in time? Coming off an oblique strain that had him sidelined, most expected Shedeur to ease his way back in, but instead he walked back into practice like he'd never left. Then launched the kind of throw you only see from top-tier starters. A frozen rope that barely scraped the air before landing perfectly in stride. Reporters called it the highlight of the day. But for Shedeur, it might have been the start of something massive. Meanwhile, the coaching staff is keeping quiet. Too quiet. Stefanski won't commit to a backup. Journalists are asking questions. Analysts are raising eyebrows. Joe Flacco might be the experienced veteran, but he isn't guaranteed anything. And if Shedeur keeps doing what he's doing, the Browns front office is going to have a serious decision to make. And fast. Because make no mistake, the moment Shedeur took that field again, everything changed. This isn't just about preseason reps anymore. This is a potential quarterback controversy bubbling under the surface. And if the Browns aren't careful, they might just overlook the one guy who could carry this franchise for the next decade. So who exactly is Shedeur Sanders behind the media hype? And is he really good enough to steal the spotlight from a Super Bowl veteran? When most players return from an injury, ... They take it slow, ease in, knock off the rust. But Shedeur Sanders doesn't operate like most players. Just days after being ruled out with a strained oblique, he showed up at practice with one mission, to prove he never left. And that's exactly what he did. No hesitation, no warm-up period. On his very first day back, Shedeur dropped an absolute laser across the field that turned heads instantly. Observers didn't just call it a good throw. They called it the throw of the day. Fluid mechanics, pinpoint accuracy, perfect velocity. It was the kind of play that doesn't happen by accident. It happens when a quarterback knows exactly who he is and exactly what he's trying to prove. That one throw might have done more than just reintroduce him to the roster. It may have shifted the tone of the entire Browns quarterback conversation. Because behind the scenes, things aren't set in stone. The Browns have been quiet, almost suspiciously quiet, about who's securing the depth chart behind Joe Flacco. And while others are slowly fighting for reps under the radar, Shedeur walked onto the field and blasted a message across the sky. I'm not here to sit quietly. Stefanski confirmed he's training for the next preseason game. Shedeur's first chance to shine since the injury, and it's not just a final tune-up. This game is critical. One performance could change everything. The Browns say they want to give him a shot, but after the way he came back, it doesn't look like Shedeur's waiting for permission. He's taking every moment into his own hands. And with the final preseason game looming, that moment is now. For Shedeur Sanders, this isn't just another preseason game. It's a make-or-break moment, plain and simple. The Browns' final preseason matchup is right around the corner, and for most players, it's a chance to polish up or play it safe. But for Shedeur, this could be the opportunity that either launches his NFL journey or buries it before it even begins. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the pressure? It's everywhere. Insiders are now confirming that Shedeur is expected to get some serious playing time in this last game. Mary Kay Cabot, one of the Browns' most trusted reporters, called it a critical opportunity, one that could alter the pecking order in the quarterback room, depending on how he performs. And that performance won't just decide whether he's second or third in the rotation. It could decide whether he has a real chance to take over when it counts, when the lights come on in the regular season. The Browns know they need depth at QB. They've been burned before. And with Flacco aging and Deshaun Watson still surrounded by question marks, the door behind them is open. The awkward part? Stefanski still refuses to show his hand. He's dodging media questions, keeping his quarterback plans under wraps, and staying tight-lipped about who's earned what. On one hand, that could just be coach speak. On the other, It could mean he's waiting for one last big performance, and Shedeur knows it. That puts all eyes on Saturday. One half of football, maybe less. That's all he's getting. In that short window of time, he needs to be flawless, precise, confident, and above all, undeniable. Because right now, Shedeur's not just playing against the Rams, he's playing for his future. There's something you can't fake on the football field: energy. And ever since Shedeur returned to practice, that energy has been different. Sharper, louder, quieter even, in the moments when people stop talking, just to see what he'll do next. From the moment warm-ups began, it was clear he didn't come back to blend in. There was no slow rhythm, no tentative movement. Every step, every rep, every throw had intention. He looked locked in, focused, like someone who knew exactly how much was on the line and didn't flinch for a second. Reporters on site said you couldn't tell he'd been sidelined at all. His footwork, as crisp as ever. His throwing motion, smooth and effortless. And his presence, that's the part people keep talking about. The guy walked onto the field like this was his team. Even among veterans, that kind of confidence stands out. And here's the thing, it's not just coaches and analysts who see it. The guys lining up next to him do too. Watch how the receivers react to his throws. They're ready. Watch how the linemen reset after a play. There's a different tempo when he's under center, a rhythm, a pace, like they're expecting to go somewhere. Because when a quarterback has it, the whole team feels it, even if no one says it out loud. One practice after returning from injury, and Shedeur already looked like he belonged, not just physically, but mentally. Poised in the pocket, sharp on his reads, vocal when it mattered. And make no mistake, those moments don't go unnoticed. Players may not say it to the press, but in locker rooms, they know who's got the juice. They know who can lead. And they know when a guy has that starting QB aura about him. Right now, more than a few of them think it might just be Shedeur. If there's one thing Kevin Stefanski is good at, it's keeping things close to the chest. And when it comes to the Browns' quarterback situation, he's been even more guarded than usual. Throughout training camp, reporters have pressed him again and again. Who's locked in behind Joe Flacco? Is Shedeur Sanders in serious consideration for a backup role? What are the chances he steals live reps this season? Every time, it's the same vague response. We'll make that decision in the coming days. No commitment, no details, not even a hint. And that's got people asking a simple question. Why? Why not just lock in the depth chart? Why keep the public and the team in suspense unless something is still up for grabs? Some insiders think Stefanski is buying time, waiting to see how the final preseason game unfolds before making his decision. And at this point, who can blame him? When your third-string rookie is throwing cleaner routes than your veteran backup and turning heads every time he drops back, you don't want to make the wrong move. Others believe Stefanski already knows the answer. He's just not ready to say it out loud. Naming Shedeur as the backup or even a contender could shift the media narrative instantly. It could add pressure, create distractions, or worse, make things awkward inside the QB room. More likely, Stefanski is playing safe, not because he doesn't believe in Shedeur, but because he's trying to protect him. Rookies flash all the time, but the pressure of being thrust into a spotlight too early can break a potential star before he's truly ready. But then again, maybe Stefanski knows something we don't. Maybe he sees the potential. Maybe he's already drawing up the future behind closed doors and just wants one more look before he bets big. Either way, his silence is starting to say more than words ever could. Because holding back a decision this late, that only happens when things aren't as set in stone as people think. Sometimes, it takes just one moment to flip the narrative. For Shedeur Sanders, that moment came during a routine training session. Only there was nothing routine about what happened next. Practice had been moving along, positional drills, scrimmage reps, the usual stuff. Then came the play. Shedeur took the snap, dropped back, and for a split second, the pocket looked like it was collapsing. But instead of panic or hesitation, he slid just inches to the left, reset his feet, and launched. Not a loft, not a hopeful deep shot, a missile. The pass screamed through the air, threading between two defenders, and landed exactly where it needed to, in the hands of his receiver, who didn't even have to reach. It was placed so perfectly, only that receiver had a shot. In that moment, every head on the field turned, the sidelines buzzed, analysts scribbled notes, reporters whispered, even veteran players couldn't hide it. This wasn't just a good pass, it was a statement. That one throw did something film can't fake. It showed touch, timing, confidence, and above all, precision under pressure. Something even seasoned starters struggle to display consistently. And this wasn't a fluke. Coaches who've watched Shedeur since his college days say this is how he practices. Calm under chaos, no wasted motion, eyes always downfield. The same stuff you see from franchise QBs who do more than just manage a game. The ones who take over when it matters. Football people will tell you, one throw won't win you a job, but when you're competing for a chance, those are the plays that stick. That's the kind of throw that replays in a coach's head when they're sitting in their office at 1 a.m., going over depth charts, wondering if the guy they overlooked might just be the guy after all. So if anyone thought Shedeur was just filling space on the roster, they aren't thinking that anymore. Because that throw might have done more than secure reps. It might have just cracked open the door to something bigger. Joe Flacco has a Super Bowl ring. He's a veteran. He's been through the wars, made the big throws, seen it all. But right now, some analysts are starting to wonder if that experience is clouding the Browns' judgment. ESPN's Ryan Clark didn't hold back. On a recent segment, he questioned whether Cleveland is leaning too heavily on what Flacco used to be, instead of focusing on who could lead the team in the future. His take? The Browns had a real opportunity to develop a long-term star in either Dillon Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders. And right now, it looks like they're opting for what's safe over what's bold. And Clark's not the only voice. Across sports media, the conversation is shifting. Why are the Browns ignoring their rookies? Why hasn't Shedeur been given more reps? Why are analysts and fans seeing someone who could be a spark while the coaching staff treats him like a placeholder? The truth? It's not just about Flacco's age or history, it's about predictability. Sure, you know what Joe Flacco brings. Solid reads, safe throws, the ability to manage a game, keep momentum, protect a lead. That's valuable, no doubt. But you also know what he doesn't bring. Long-term upside, creative movement, dynamic playmaking, and the fire that comes from a young quarterback trying to shock the world every single snap. Shedeur brings that edge. He moves differently, thinks differently, plays like every moment could be his only one. And when you have that attitude, it's dangerous in the best way possible. Some say the Browns are playing chess. Others say they're playing scared. Flacco might still be the starter, for now. That's reality. But pressure is building from the outside. And with performances like Shedeur's in practice and preseason, Stefanski is going to have tougher and tougher questions to answer in the coming weeks. Because if you're a team that's never had stability at quarterback, why ignore two promising prospects and double down on a known short-term fix? The more Shedeur continues to rise, the more it feels like the Browns are dragging their feet on a decision that won't stay quiet much longer. In the NFL, windows of opportunity don't last long. And right now, the Browns are sitting in front of one that could define their next 5 years. Shedeur Sanders isn't just showing flashes of talent. He's showing consistency, leadership, composure, the kind of qualities that don't take years to develop because they're already there. And that's what makes this moment so critical. Because while the fan base talks about upside and analysts debate potential, the reality is timing might be everything. It's rare for a team to have an aging veteran, a question mark starter, and a young, hungry, skilled rookie all in the same quarterback room. Teams either have stability or chaos. The Browns? They have something in between. Possibility. But possibility only means something if you act on it. Stefanski's patience may be strategic. A move calculated to protect a rookie from being thrown into the fire too soon. Or maybe even to avoid fracturing confidence in the locker room. But more and more, that strategy is looking like a risk in itself. Because while Joe Flacco is steady, he isn't the future. And if Deshaun Watson doesn't return to form or stays unavailable, that future may need to come sooner than expected. If that moment arrives and the Browns still don't know what they have in Shedeur Sanders, that's not just a setback. That's a missed opportunity, one they may not get back. Think about how many teams passed on young talent only to watch them blow up elsewhere, while they remained locked into safe options that brought safe results. No playoff runs, no championships, no real growth. Right now, Shedeur is healthy, confident, and ascending. He's ready to be tested. And whether or not Stefanski makes that call in the preseason, the pressure is mounting because the noise outside that facility is only getting louder. This isn't just a quarterback decision anymore. It's a franchise-defining choice, one that could either keep the Browns stuck waiting or finally launch them into a new era. As the final preseason game looms, the Browns are standing at a crossroads, one they didn't expect to reach so quickly, and one they can't afford to ignore. Shedeur Sanders' return from injury didn't just restore depth to the quarterback room. It ignited a conversation, a debate that's picking up steam in media rooms, locker rooms, and across social media. Are the Browns turning a blind eye to the future simply to stay loyal to experience? Let's recap. He came back from injury quicker than expected, threw the most talked about pass of the day, showed poise in pressure drills, moved like a starter, not a rookie. And according to analysts, teammates, and insiders, he's looked as sharp, if not sharper, than anyone behind center not named Deshaun Watson. The coaching staff's silence only adds fuel to the fire. Stefanski's saying just enough to keep people guessing, but not enough to calm the growing noise. That's not by accident. Something big is brewing behind closed doors. Whether it's caution, strategy, or indecision, it's clear the Browns know this isn't just about a third-string QB. It's potentially about who leads this team into the future. Meanwhile, veteran voices like Ryan Clark are calling it out directly. This team has the rare chance to develop a true franchise quarterback. Two even, between Shedeur and Dillon Gabriel. And if they pass on that chance, if they keep riding with what's comfortable, what's familiar, they may be writing themselves into the same chapter over again. Because we've all seen this story before. A team plays it safe, benches the talented prospect, lets them sit and lose confidence. Then, 2 years later, that same prospect is lighting it up someplace else, while the original team is still stuck searching for answers. So the question isn't whether Shedeur Sanders has talent. That's obvious now. The real question is whether the Browns are willing to take a smart risk and finally grow into an organization that builds QBs rather than borrowing them. What happens in the next few days could change everything. One more throw, one more drive, one more moment. That's all it could take to shift opinion from talented rookie to future starter. Because maybe, just maybe, the Browns already have their guy. And the only question left is whether they realize it in time.